Alright, my lovers, and welcome back. This is Wasmatic. Thank you very much for joining me again. If you have been watching this mini-series, so far I have covered 3 areas. I've covered the combat skills, I have covered the signs skills, and I have covered a little bit about alchemy with my basic understanding of it. I stress these are overview guides, so these are aimed at beginners, people who want to get an understanding of what sort of character build, what are the options available to you to build a character in Witcher 3. So this is possibly the final episode in the series looking at character builds, and what I want to do is start to give you a flavour for how do you build a character. We know what the combat skills are, we know what the signs are now, and we know what abilities you have from alchemy, what are the potions and decoctions and such like that you can use. One area that I didn't cover, which I'll touch upon very briefly now, is the general skills. So these skills are general enhancements to Geralt's overall physiology, if you like. So let's give you some simple examples. Sun and Stars, this is basically an enhancement to regeneration and vitality or health. And stamina regeneration also. The next one along, which I've picked, increases maximum vitality by 500. Picking these general skills, you need to be very careful if you're going to choose to use them at all, and I'll explain why in a second. So these are basically general improvements. Steady shot, crossbow bolts deal 25% more damage. So when you look at building your character, let's pop over to this central portion here. So in the middle you'll see that there are 4 segments with 3 squares in, and when unlocked 4 diamonds around the outside. So those are the diamonds. What happens is when you develop your character, and I've gone for a very heavy signs build, when you develop your character, these skills that you pick only become active, if you like, when you drop them into those boxes in the middle. So let's take my build as an example. I have gone very heavy on Alchemy, which is the stun ability at its basic level. I've also enhanced that so it actually an enemy briefly becomes an ally and starts fighting against other their teammates or their enemies. Now that's great in a fight where you have lots and lots of mobs against you. On the boss fights it's less useful. So this is where you start to try and get a feel for how would I build this character. So let's say I'm going to go in and I'm going to fight a boss, and it's going to be, let's say an earth elemental maybe, or no, let's say a wraith, because I've covered wraiths quite a lot. So I know for a fact that wraiths, if I'm fighting one-on-one, that's going to be no use whatsoever. The alternate sign mode for Alchemy, where I hold the button down, the enemy becomes an ally and deals 60% more damage. That's no good, because as soon as I hit them, when they take damage from me, it knocks them out of that stun. So I might say, okay, I'm fighting a Noon Wraith. I know it's going to be a tough fight, possibly, although Noon Wraiths have been quite easy so far. So let's say I want to take just the basic Axie sign as a stun. I've put 3 points into it, so that's maxed out. There you go. I know I'm going to use that sign against the Noon Wraith. I also know that Noon Wraiths are vulnerable to Erden, the traps. So that's got 2 points in that. I'm going to use that. The next sign up, if I'd had that, I might consider using that. The alternate sign mode damages and slows enemies in a 10-yard radius, destroys projectiles. Well, Noon Wraiths don't really throw any projectiles. They have melee. So let's say we're sticking with the basic Erden. Okay. So there you go. So I've got the vulnerability from Erden, and I've got the stun should I need it. But I've got, in that block of 3, I've got 1 more. Now it's important, very important, that you actually stack, in those blocks of 3 you stack the signs of the same colour, and I'll cover why in a second. So let's say, okay, I'm going to fight this this Noon Wraith. What else can I use? So I've got Alchemy, I know I need Erden. What's this one? So I've got a shield. Well, bit of defence, never hurts, does it? That shield, the active shield, when you hold the button down, it creates a sphere around you, which is it's an active shield, so it's a big globe around you. It blocks and drains stamina. Well, actually, do you know what? I don't want my stamina drained that much, so I'll just use the shield, which is active. I'll press it once. So there you go. So those are my abilities in that block. Now, this is the really important bit. At a very basic level, you need to now pick a mutagen from the mutagens that you have in your inventory. So you need to pick what is going to give you the best ability. So let's have a look. So this will give you an enhancement to your signs. So I need a blue one, obviously. So there we go, greater blue mutagen plus 10% sign intensity. And the fact I've got 3 other blue signs in there should mean that I get a 40% enhancement. So the signs enhance the mutagen and vice versa. So the mutagen is throwing in a 10% enhancement to those 3 abilities, and those 3 abilities, because they're linked with that mutagen, will throw in an extra 10%. So I'm actually now getting a 40% increase on the intensity of these signs. So that's great. I have now... sorry. Oh! Sorry. So I have... those are my signs picks. Do I want any more for that fight with the Noon Wraith? Probably not. I mean, I could use these 2, but... So what else do I have that I can use? Well, I've got points in the fast attack. You're going to need to hit them at some point, so I'd pick that. Slow attack, well, okay. I know I'm going to use the slow attack at some point, possibly. So it's worthwhile having in there. Now, at that point in time, I only have 2 red skills. So I could say, well, let's throw in a bit of health. So maybe I increase my vitality by 500, or maybe I increase my adrenaline regeneration by 5%. And using sounds now generates adrenaline points. Well, that sounds quite good because I'm using swords. So do I want extra health? Well, actually, no, let's make it slightly more offensive. Now, the point being, you'll see when I go to pick my mutagens, whilst this is a build that's specific for that fight, I don't know what the best red mutagen is I've got, so there's a lesser. Is that the best I've got? Let's see. Water hack plus 5%. Wyvern 5%. Lesser red mutagen 5%. So let's just say I'll go with that. So you'll see straight away when I put that one in, it gets boosted 15%. Because of the linkages with the other 2 abilities, so 5% from fast attack and 5% from slow attack. Now that general skill that I have in there of the adrenaline point regeneration, at this point in time I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying there are no mutagens that can enhance that ability, but I know it's useful for the fight. Hang on, I've still got another box there. So taking this specific fight in mind, what else would I need to have in there? Well, it would be really nice if I had a whole raft of other skills. I have built most of my skills around signs. For this fight, I actually don't need any other signs, and this is where I've made a mistake with my build, in essence, because I've focused on a broad spectrum of signs. Now that's great for further down the line, but at level 16 I should probably try and be a little bit more focused. It may be, I don't know. So let's say, okay, I actually want, I'm going to use some alchemy. I might use some alchemy in this fight. I mean, again, the Noon Wraiths are quite easy, so it's probably not likely, but again, I can drop this in there and say, okay, well, that's going to be handy to have. Okay, I can use my general skills and say, okay, let's increase my vitality by that, and okay, just to improve that, look at all these greens I've got here, just to improve the green mutagen that I've got there, I'll pick, I must have some green mutagen, there you go. So if I drop that into that slot now, I'll get a vitality improvement of 200. So you actually can see that had I had more alchemy skills, I could drop those into that lower portion and actually improve my enhancement. So you can see on the bottom right now, if you look on the bottom right where it says DPS Silver Sword, DPS Steel Sword, my points have now been enhanced because of the skills that I've put into these boxes. So let's look at sign intensity plus 61%. If I now start to deconstruct that build, I'm dropped straight away just from taking one mutagen out to 21%. I take each other out. Well, they're all gone because the mutagen's gone, so I'm actually using the sign intensity you see there is simply from the items that I'm wearing and the swords that I'm carrying. Again, likewise, DPS on my silver sword is 514 and the DPS on the steel sword is 323. If I now take out those abilities, that drops, it drops again, and that's it. I'm down now to 435. Likewise, so you can see how using these builds gosh, excuse me. Oh, I'm really getting it wrong now. Using these builds, you can construct whatever character build you want for fights, depending. If you're at level 60, obviously you'll have more choices to make. So that's it for a very superficial overview of the builds. I will be going into, once I've progressed a little bit further through the game, I will start to look at more in-depth builds, how we can. So let's take the signs for example. What will I gain if I go down each of these trees? Where will I see that when I cross-reference that to, you know, maybe some high-level mutagens? Again, this is a flexible build. You can drop in and out. I tend to stick with, as a general build, I tend to, for just running around and exploring, I tend to have, I will have Axii in there for myself. I will also have the second level of Axii because that's useful to have in a fight. I will have my shield in there as well. And I will generally run with multiple builds in the what's that? Erden? I probably wouldn't have Erden. I know I will have that in there, and I will probably have that. And now, oh, for goodness sake, my apologies. It's true. If only I had a PC version. So, okay, so I'll enhance that with. I'll find a Grated Blue Mutagen. I'll put that one in there. And I will find another Grated Blue Mutagen and I will put that in there. My sign intensity is now 101%. What else do I need? I'm going to have some combat skills. So again, I'll drop this into there. I'll drop that heavy attack into there. No, oh, for goodness sake. Sorry, let's fix that. And then this will go in here, and I now need a red mutagen. So I think I have a greater red mutagen somewhere, I hope anyway. No? Using the lesser, which is the best. 5%, 5%, 5%, all the same. That therefore is my general runaround build. Because I'm heavily focused on signs, I have 2 of the trees focused around signs and my sign intensity boost, and then I have a slight boost to my attack power. My build, I'm hoping, will be for this character sign intensity and attack power. The good news is there is a potion you can buy from 2 NPCs in the game. I won't tell you where to spoil the surprise, but there are 2 NPCs you can buy a clearance potion from, which will clear all of your skill trees, and these potions will recycle. They'll be back in stock after between 1 and 5 days. So if you get your build wrong, don't worry, you can go back and fix it. What I'm hoping to do now, I've come to the end of this superficial guide. Hopefully it's given you a very good flavour of the overview of how to build characters. Once I've progressed a bit more through the game, I will be diving in a little bit deeper and looking what's an alchemy build look like, what does a science build look like in detail, and how do you create these builds for different characters. But for now, that's it for this guide. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, if this has been helpful at all, please leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to see some more subscribers on the channel. And if there's anything else you'd like to see, whether it's Witcher 3 or any other game, please do drop me a line. Thanks very much, and bye for now.